Okay, we are in North
Nature.
Carolina, nature, beautiful day. So, what has inspired your fashion today, Miss Lady?
Coming out here to get this healing water. To be comfortable as possible as the sun is shining. So I got my flannel and my sweater. I'm dressed for whatever at this point. What's your inspiration today, smooth lady?
Same here. I know that this was going to be one of our activities, so I love nature actually. So I was kind of looking forward. This is one of my go-to type of outfits when I am out and about nature. So I got my boots on and kind of make me look like I'm hiking or well.
Oh, don't act like you ain't hiked a mountain.
Oh yeah, I definitely have, and we'll do again. But yeah, my inspiration was this activity, so I wanted to kind of dress for the occasion. It's beautiful out here, man. The weather and nature alone, so I'm just loving it. So that's where inspiration came from.
Today's episode is emotions versus feelings, and do you think there's a distinctive difference between emotions and feelings, and if so, how do you define it?
Yes, I think there is a difference. Although they are close, for me, it's still a difference between them. So feeling is actually the experience, versus emotions is describe what we feel. So let me break that down a little bit. So when you can say, I feel like $1,000,000, that's not emotion. You see what I'm saying? I feel like a little girl today. I feel like a boss. That's the state of mind. That's the experience itself. Versus emotions is more of the happy, sad, mad, rejected, agitated. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So although it's a very thin line, but there's still a distinct difference to me. Because again, I'll say I feel like Little House on the Prairie, or I feel like a butterfly. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily an emotion.
Right.
So although they're close, they're, again, from my personal view of it, is still a difference.
That makes sense. This topic makes me feel vulnerable. I don't have that much expertise in dealing with and what to do next with emotions and feelings. I can't say I know I felt almost all of them.
Right.
I just didn't know how long to set in it. You've helped me define emotions and feelings, and it can get complicated if you have no connection. And I'm happy I have you for that, because I get stuck and I stumble over both the words of the emotion and feelings and the actual emotions and feelings. So I think if you could elaborate and help all of us with your expertise on emotions and feelings.
A little bit of that, where it came from. Again, I'm an empath. I have to say that all the time. So that makes me, empath is just that you can feel all the different energies around you, and I can feel it deeply. And my go-to state of mind is emotional. So I had to learn a way to put boundaries on that, and to kind of filter it a little bit more healthier. Not to take it so personally. So, 20-something years ago, I'm kind of like, God, what is this? What am I feeling? How do I articulate that? So that was the cause of me, of like, okay, hold on, I got to get a good handle on this, and yet not lose myself, still be authentic to me, and it's a gift now. Back then, I probably would have said, okay, I'm too emotional about everything. But no, it's a gift, because again, I put the boundaries on it and I know how to handle it. So that was kind of, again, the reason I started like researching this and wanted to know how I feel versus what somebody else said. And I started putting the work in it. So yeah, now I help plenty people to, the first thing is, because a lot of people we have to kind of identify what the emotion is. Again, some people don't know how to do that, and you might be feeling I'll use a good example of somebody I love very, very, very dearly, and they are easily irritated, very easily off of everything. So, as they constantly call me, I said, if you could catch yourself in the emotion of maybe agitated, of whatever your experience of what of the experience itself, and maybe you go you start getting annoyed first. You get annoyed first, then it goes to agitation, then it goes to full-blown irritation, and then next thing you know, you might be snapping on somebody. Angry. So yeah, if we can catch ourselves maybe in the minute that we're triggered, why am I annoyed? What is this place or person or thing annoying? Is why I'm being annoyed, or where I'm being annoyed from. If we can catch ourselves and maybe access that, I think that's like 70% of the battle. Okay. Before we get to those state of emotions. Right. And again, emotions are so temporary. The feeling of the experience itself lasts a little bit longer. Right. But yeah, and that was the second thing that I realized, that I was giving so much energy or time to a certain emotion, and then we don't even feel like that an hour later, right, or the next day. No matter how good or bad the emotion is, right, it doesn't last, because again, we naturally want to get rid of all the emotions that make us feel uncomfortable, right, or we don't want to tackle, or we don't want to deal with, or whatever. So we kind of suppress or get rid of that real quick, right? And then we want the good emotions, or the emotions makes us feel bubbly or nice inside, we want to kind of hold on to them. So when I start really putting a lot of research and time and focus on even the good emotions, I'm like, wow, they may last a little longer if we kind of hold the focus and focus on it a little bit, or keep thinking about it day after day, or again, depending on how long we hold the focus, but they don't last either. So that was a part of the journey of me knowing, what I'm feeling, how to articulate what I'm feeling, and then what can I do about it. Okay. So once a lot of people begin, you may be going through it different. Like, so what's the difference between annoyed, agitation, irritation? We'll all define that maybe differently. We have a general idea of what that is, but each of our definitions may be different, and that's okay. Call out there, I'm feeling all three of them. I don't know which one is one, but even just to say, why am I feeling like that? I think that's definitely the best way to kind of to tackle it, so you can catch yourself before it get to that. So yeah, so emotions, yeah, those is a tricky little thing. I spend, again, as you know, a lot of years defining what they are for me, versus once I read or research is what Webster or somebody else say. Because Webster is a good, but that doesn't help you. Yeah, right. that doesn't define me, or it's not my. Yeah, it gives you a just a platform to kind of a start there, and it may not be that for me. You know what I'm saying? So this is what my definition of it is. This is how I define it, and this is what this means to me, and this is what. And I don't. I'm at the point now in my life, I don't want to give no emotions too much power over me. Right. I don't care how good, or enjoy it in the moment. It's a beautiful thing to enjoy it and to absorb it and to really feed off the energy, and then I let it go. Like, and again, it took me a long time to get to that point, but yeah, so that's how I would say, as far as people, if they want to go along this journey, like trying to how to define it or how to even handle it. And this is where my life coaching come in too. This is a big bulk of my life coaching. The people that I do work with, we start with those emotions and why are you triggered, and what because people are holding a lot of past emotions and bringing it into their present, and it's like, okay, let's kind of define that and separate that. Right. A lot of people group everything together. Once you think you compartmentalize, that kind of helps you too. Like, okay, this should go with that experience. This experience is for this. So once you start doing that, that kind of helps you.
Yeah, it does help. You've helped me.
And I'm proud of you, because that's not you're such a practical thinker. You do not go to, that's not your go-to emotions. That's something you have to do intentionally, but you opened yourself up to that, and you want to, like, okay,
I want to understand.
Yeah, you want to understand it. So
I want to know
that
why
is a
I'm
huge
triggered and I want to fix it.
Yes, yes. And see, again, that's a whole nother level of even fixing it once we know what it is. Do we really want to fix it? We've been holding on to certain things for so many emotions so long, we kind of identify with it, and we think that's a part of who we are, you know. So I'm joyful all day, and that's a great thing to identify with and to be a part of, but that's not who I am ultimately.
Right.
You know, I'm experiencing the joy for that moment, but I'm so much even bigger than that, you know. So that's a whole nother dynamic and a level to, once you even figure out what you're feeling, how to articulate it, then what you want to do about it, you know, if anything, you know. So yeah, so what's your takeaway from it?
My takeaway is to make sure I keep you on speed dial. Because it's gonna take me a long time to catch up with you when it comes to being able to figure out how they all go together in all these new and individual moments. So my takeaway is have somebody to talk to that kind of has an idea of, you know, what it is to be emotional, because I'm not that emotional, and I'm intentionally trying to be. So I think if you open yourself up and talk to people that are more so, and try to get understanding why they are, and then what will help you be, and take it from there. For me anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good, because again, what comes to mind as a life coach, they're not only people who need to be built up emotionally, but also toned down.
Yeah.
So, like you said, having somebody who may be a little bit more knowledgeable in that area, if you can't get an idea, that'll help you, a person, period, a whole lot.
Absolutely.
Save themselves for their blood pressure getting high, or getting, you know, again, you know, I get so many calls, and that frantic, irate initial call or something, I'm kind of like, okay, what's the problem now? And you in a moment, we're triggered. We're feeling a certain emotion. Yeah, and 97% of the time, once you get out of the emotions, you're kind of like, oh, it really wasn't even all of that. It wasn't even worth.
And it is very brief.
That's what I'm telling you. The good and the bad emotions, they do not last. They don't last. We just choose to. We take a lot of energy holding on to certain things, but they do not last. So
what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is, I like how you said, have somebody that you can go to. But for me, I didn't have that when I was young and feeling all these different emotions. So if you don't have somebody, you know, like I said, start doing maybe some self-evaluation, however that look, or looking at yourself like, okay, why do I get agitated when I go to a park? Maybe, you know, again, something that happened in the past, or some trigger happened, and that kind of made you start being agitated or irritated every time you go to this particular setting, you know. So if you don't got somebody to go to, start looking at self. Google, read, why do I feel this emotion during this particular time or at this particular place, or whatever. Ask yourself those questions. Again, I would encourage anybody to define the two, or if you want to group them together, you know, define what emotions mean to you, what feelings mean to you, and then you can kind of break down certain emotions, and then you can break down certain feelings.
Right. Okay.
How you define them. But I would say, of course, if you got somebody, a counselor, a therapist, there's nothing wrong with talking to somebody. I think it's a beautiful thing. Life coach, go talk to somebody if you can. But if you're not ready to yet share that, some people not ready to share their emotions with people. Right. We were like that for a long time until God, even what we're doing now, God kind of like, okay, what we're doing is meant to be shared, but we didn't want to, you know, it was a privacy thing. It was being misunderstood. It was a lot of reasons why we didn't want to share. So they may not be ready to share certain things yet. Right. So again, if you can do the work yourself, that's fine. You know, if that's what you want to do in the beginning. But yeah, define what emotion means to you and what feelings mean to you. Go from there. Ask yourself, why are you feeling certain emotions? Do you want to hold on to the emotion? Do you want to let it go quickly? You got it. There's a process in that. And again, if you don't want to hold on to it, that's probably the best thing to do, because it's brief. Emotions is just like nothing is really meant to last. We just really meant to experience it's part of the human experience. We'll feel every emotion eventually, and then like, wow, you know, I know I felt sadness, I felt happiness, I felt joy, I felt betrayal, I felt rejection. I don't like those emotions, but yeah, I felt, and you get over it, because the more and more work you put into it, you'll know how to deal with when it comes. You know, we're human, we're gonna feel it. It's like, oh dang, I felt a little rejection there. So ouch. You know, we know how to deal. We won't be so embarrassed and ashamed of feeling those emotions. You know, it's part of the human experience. We know how to deal with it. So that would be my takeaway from it.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely. We are still here enjoying this beautiful atmosphere, this beautiful weather and nature. So we're just soaking it up. But this is the part where we ask the intriguing question. And the question for this episode is, if you could tell your younger self one thing, only one thing, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes, because it can only be one.
One question and one question only from my younger self?
Yes. You could go back and tell your younger self what to do or what not to do.
Wow, I have to think about that one.
Same here. That's definitely intriguing enough that it needs a little bit more time to think on it. So, yeah, that's a good one. But anyways, we would love to hear you guys' answers and response. Please email us and let us know. Thank you, and always live inspired.
Live inspired.